Howdy, folks. Just give me a shout if you can hear me 100% or if I'm a little low or a little high. That would be very helpful. Welcome in, everybody, once more to the shed. Yes, it's still here. After all the wind we had and things like that, it's come up a little breezy today, but it's fair. The temperature's around 10 degrees, something like that. So the little heater's doing its trick. Yes, sounds fine. Okay, that's good. All right, Carl Stevens, Ray Bertelson, Tim Maslin. We've got Lord Al. Yes, I still have my laddies. Yes, and they're not full yet. Yeah, no overflowing shitters here. Haha, Mick. Hello. The bar's open. Good. Mine's a coffee. Cheers, everybody. Oh, that hit the mark. Yes, welcome in, everybody, and to Jake and Lee and Connie. Welcome, everybody. I thought I'd run what I was running last time, which are the electric blue electrics. So you've got the AL5 and the AL6. AL6 is over this side. Yay. Put in Mark 1s of a prototypical colour. And on the other side, just whizzed past, is the what we now know as the Class 86 with some blue and grey stock of the Bachmann variety. Mick's listening in while planning a new layout. What pray was wrong with the old one, or is it just that you've learnt a few tricks there and there's things I should have done? That always comes about. Yes, so good on you, Mick. It takes some gumption to say, I've had enough of this, let's start again. SJ Train World, hello Simon, nice to see you. David Hall, welcome in. I'm very well, thank you. No signs of ill health, no pains and nasties like that, no pimples, no bangs on the head. Well, it's getting a bit thin up there. Oh dear. Yeah, never mind. That's the ravages of time for you. Mark of Hemel Model Railway. Hello, nice to see you. Jerry BVR. A good afternoon, lurking in the background while cooking dinner. A very noble art. There's our Canadian friend James. Good morning to you. Nice of you to join us. Over Van Zon. Sounds okay. Excellent. So I thought I'd run what I was running last time. Mainly down to, it's not laziness, because I've been busy on the layout, doing some wiring underneath. The wiring looks roughly like this, which is good old-fashioned telephone jumper wire. It's not actually jumper wire, it's called wire connector. And this particular one is predominantly white with a red fleck in it, and predominantly red with a white fleck in it. So you can tell them apart. So I've been running that under the layout for the signalling of the upline, which is the running line. I'll show you as it comes around. The one that runs anti-clockwise, which is this one you'll be seeing right now. Yeah, so it's the inside loop. So I've been running that under there. What did I use? If I can find it, I will show you. There it is. Well, as with most of our model railway layouts, they're made of wood, and this here is a tacker gun for tacking cables. And so what I do is just very lightly hammer it in so it leaves a loop that I can run the wires through. So tack, 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 cable, cable, cable. That's the general idea. And I tend to find that works very well for anything up to 2 of these wires. Anything more than that, it gets a bit tight. But as I'm running just 2 parallel all the way around, that's the way of things. So afternoon Dino, just me up in the train room doing some bits. Moneybrook Junction, that's Mark. Hello Mark, nice to see you. I think it's Mark and Lisa. Yes, Lisa downstairs. Okay, so I'm talking to Mark. Oh, that's good. Okay, Carl Stevens, welcome in. Oh, so yes, I was up here all day, most of the day yesterday, just trying to get my head round what I was going to run. The signals look like this. I'll say this for the Chinese, they put these little brass ends on there, little bullet ends, and they go very nicely into the screw apertures of the boards. Now I can show you a board because I haven't actually installed them yet. So let me just go grab one. This here electronic circuit board is known as an ERDASC 4. So it's a 4-aspect signal. Those 5 wires from the lights, LEDs, you've got a common, and in this case is a common positive, and then 4 negative lights, 4 negative legs, 1 for each of the colours. So you've got 2 yellows, 1 green, 1 red, and there's a black one in there which is your common, and they go into these 5 terminals there. And if I can just demonstrate, they just push straight in and you screw it down, no hassle. So you drill your hole, you put your signal in place, that dangles underneath, and you've got that much lead to plug into the board. So you can only put it within that kind of region of the board. And what this does, it controls the aspect of the lights, and these wire in and out, plus some power. And also you've got a double R. It's marked as double R, and what that does, it does various things, but at the flick of a switch I can turn all the lights red because they're all interlinked. But in normal operation they follow the aspects of the next signal. So the next signal is double yellow, this one will be yellow, and so on and so forth. And that's what the board looks like. These wires hanging on here, these are the detectors. So these are, one of those is a infrared transmitter, one of them is a receiver. You drill a hole up between your sleepers, and those 2 sit there waiting for the train to come over. The infrared reflects off the bottom of the whatever's passing over it, and literally you get either a short circuit or an open circuit, whatever the circuitry requires, and that gives you the sense ability. So I hope that makes sense, and that's the kind of length you've got on the wires, which is, I don't know, about 14 inches. So you've got 14 inches. Hello Chaz, nice to see you, mate. So you've got 14 inches from where it's picked up the fact that there's a train there. There's also a little LED on the board here. So the board is upside down underneath the layout. There's a little LED on there, so you can actually test the trains as they're going past, and the LED, every time it detects a train, the LED will stay on. So yeah, that's it. These are made by Heathcote Electronics. I got hold of Clive in the week, ordered up my boards. These are about £20 a shot. So for what it is, they're not overly expensive. They're well made. You've got to remember, I'm in a shed here, and it's fairly open to the elements. So you need something that's man enough to take that kind of humidity and cold and hot all year round. So I've had no trouble with these boards. These have been in for several years now, and I haven't had any problem. Are they in the UK, Andy? Yes, they are. Um, I can give you the gen on it. So what you get is a comprehensive series of diagrams about how they work. You also get instructions, copious amount of instructions, how to wire your LEDs. It's pretty simple. All you have to do is literally follow it. And let's just go through that. Things like junctions with tracks converging, reverse running, interconnections between units. It's all there. This one is how to connect it up with a mass sequencer. Then you've got an ERDAS 4, which is the board I just showed you. Very, very similar. And another ERDAS 4, and that's how they interconnect with the wires underneath. And obviously you need a power supply, and that's very much down to you what you use. You can use either 12 volts DC or 12 volts or anything up to 15 volts AC. And let me just poodle along. And if you go onto the World Wide Web and look up Heathcote Electronics, you will find them. They are in Stoke-on-Trent in England. Highly recommended. I must just stress that you do have to... Oh, hello, Colin. You do have to tell them how many aspects you want your signals, so whether it's 2, 3 or 4 aspects. There is also a board that can do flashing yellow lights. So there's various boards there encompassing everything to do with infrared control. And you have to tell them what your signals actually are, whether they are a negative or positive common. So in America, you'll more likely have positive common and use all the negative legs to actually make your LEDs light. But in England, we use a negative common, and he just has to know. I don't know if it's a different kind of chip or whether there's something on the circuit board that needs changing or a link taken out or whatever. I've never asked that question. So that's the only thing you need to tell them. But I sent it in an email to him because when I actually, the first time I rang him, it just rang. And I thought, oh, he's not in. So I sent an email giving him a heads up of what I actually need. He emailed me back within, I don't know, half an hour. I don't know if he'd been out doing some shopping or something. Can you hook it up to your NCE? Well, I've never tried it. It's an autonomous system, Tim. So it works on its own. Irrespective of what's going on the track, the only thing that senses what goes on the track is those two detectors, which detect. There's Brian. Hello, Brian. Great show, mate. So, yes, that's Heathcote Electronics. Clive Heathcote, great guy, very knowledgeable. He does know his stuff, particularly around electronics and its application to model railways. But as I say, this thing runs completely autonomous of what you're doing on the track. So you can run anything on the track. DC, DCC, doesn't matter. It runs on its own. And that's very much the beauty of it, because then you don't have to interlock it with anything unless you want to. RGJ Trains, Rob and Grace. Hello, you crazy people. Yes, none crazier. Newlyn Railway, that's Clive. Hello, Clive. Nice to see you. I was just talking about your namesake, which is Clive at Heathcote Electronics. And that's your Urdas Core EW, extended wire. So that's what you get for your 20 quid. Obviously, I needed 3 of them, so it come out something just over 60 quid with the package and posting. And I was holding off just to get that little bit of money so I can just say, yes, that's for the sickle. So that's what I did. I just saved, and then when the opportunity arose, I gave Clive a ring. It was in the post the next day, and I got it the day after that. Can I say any better than that? Can you use that with voltage signals? As in, what would you call it? Semaphore signals? Yes. A chap at Heathcote Electronics is making an uncoupler kit for DCC. It's very interesting indeed. Yeah. Obviously, DCC is on the market, and he does obviously get requests for certain things. And if there's enough demand, he will actually make it. He's a great guy, Clive. I've had no trouble with anything I've bought from Clive. So I'm a living endorsement, if you like. He did say to me, "Oh, you do a stream, do you? Tell me what it is." So if you're looking in, Clive, thanks, mate. I'm working on it. Oh, Lee's off. Yeah, no, Lee's obviously busy doing bits and pieces. So Lee's sort of in and out. The really old signals, can't think of the name. If you're talking about like conventional bulbs, like what would you call it? Grain of wheat or grain of rice bulbs. Yes, just tell him what you're after, and he will give you the right advice. Tuna Dog Andy, that's me. Hello, Dwight Curley. Now, Dwight, are you doing a live stream tonight? If you can tell us in the chat. Semaphore signals. Yeah, the old well, or in GWR case, I'm quite mad, you know. I think so, Ivo and Dan. Okay. Where's Engie Benji? Oh, sorry, that's Jollop and Dan. So yes, so Dwight's in the house. I am 1 o'clock Central Time, which for us in the UK, I think is 7 o'clock in the evening. So roll up, roll up. Apparently that's a phrase that Heath of Humanity Junction hadn't heard. Now, you know, for those of you that know Heath, of which everybody blames, Heath is very fond of circus trains. And what I associate with circus over here is the big top, lots of animals, acrobats, and trapeze and things like that. What time is it here right now? It is getting on for 20 past 1 in the afternoon. Right. So yes, circuses. What did you used to hear when the circus started? Roll up, roll up, roll up. Come to Billy Smart Circus. And Heath had never heard of this. So it must be peculiar to the UK. Because Heath drew a blank. You could see the question mark appear over his head. And I said, "You've never heard of roll up, roll up?" And he went, "No." So, of course, you're tippy-tapping away, you know, trying to get a little impact on the chat, and it falls absolutely flat. So, yeah, sorry about that, Heath, but with circuses, it was roll up, roll up, roll up. Come and see the great Billy Smart Circus, or Chipperfields, or whoever it was. Today's circuses are nothing compared to 30 years ago. Only horses these days, no lions, tigers or elephants. Boring now, in my opinion. Well, yeah, the trouble is between gigs they have to, obviously cage the animals, and it's although they're well fed, obviously, otherwise there'd be carnage in the ring. It's Is it cruel? I don't know. It depends. But from my perspective, I always like the acrobatics, and obviously you've got the clowns, so it's complete slapstick. And obviously, when there's a little changeover, a little connection between the clowns and the acrobats, that's when it can get funny. But yeah, I always loved the trapeze, and for me, that suggests circus. Don't think circuses in Australia have all the animals at all. No, I wouldn't imagine. Will you imagine trying to get the animals around the country in that kind of heat, which is 40, 50 degrees? I mean, that's really severe stuff. So, yeah, that would be a bit cruel because they'd have to go in air-conditioned comfort, I would have thought. Yeah, so that's that. So, yes, I have been doing quite a bit of work underneath the layout. Um, I've got all the wiring there. And all I've done is run the wiring and left the tails hanging. So then all I have to do is look at the circuit diagram, follow the circuit diagram, and just make sure that the right tail is coming from the right direction, connect it into the board. All you've got is a positive and negative, and you've got a send or receive wire that goes to the next unit, and also the RR wire, which at the flick of a switch here will turn all those lights red at the flick of a switch, just in case you want to want to run bang road, which is the opposite way around. For those of you that saw Charlie Bishop's video, yeah, brilliant, good on you, Charlie. He just laid all of the old Hattons and Worley stuff to bed and moved on, which is what really everybody should have done. But wringing of hands, nah. Just let it go. I mean, Hatton's got themselves into the position they got themselves into, gone, and Worley, they were just getting too old to do it, and nobody wanted to take it up. It was a lot of work, and obviously it probably still made the Worley Club a bit of money, but probably that was diminishing return. So it had to get to a point. Oh, hang on, Shatton still screwed my last order. Oh, did they? Sorry about that, itchy nose. Can't say I'm surprised. That's not the first screwed order that you had. Am I right in thinking that, Clive? But then that's the nature of mail order and the web and all of that stuff. Ratio kits sell them, Jake. Oh, what? Semaphores? Yes, they do. There's also a signalling company which do really, really, really pucker signals. And funny enough, it was Charlie that suggested them on his last video. I can't remember the company's name, but they make bespoke signals. I mean, the detail is perfect, but you pay for it. So it's something like £60 for a signal. And you've got 4 of them round your layout. You're talking 240 quid. And that's a lot of money. But you can go completely the other way and go for the ratio kits, which you can actually put LEDs in just behind the lenses of the semaphore, and you can also connect them up to a servo, so you get prototypical arm reach on it, aspects of the signals. and you can even have electronic equipment, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Clive Heathcote does circuit boards connecting to servos, which give the semaphore bounce. So as the semaphore comes down, it boom, 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 boom. It gives the illusion of gravity and springing. Donegal Dad Rail. Hello, Mark. Nice to see you. Yeah, so signals. Obviously, I went for 4-aspect LEDs, and I was just showing everybody the circuit boards I use, Mark, for detecting trains and initiating the signals, which is an ERDASC 4, which is made by Heathcote Electronics. And there is your infrared detector and transmitter, which goes up between the sleepers underneath. So you drill a hole underneath and they poke up. It detects the bottom of the moving train. So I don't like the ones which are at the side of the track looking up towards the train, because there's too many things that can interfere with that. Daylight and all the rest of it. I'm in a shed, so there's no overhead daylight. So these pointing directly upwards underneath the track between the sleepers is perfect for me, and that doesn't interfere with the operation one iota. All I have to do is go over the top with a hoover, and if there's any dirt which collects in the heads of those, it sucks straight out. I think you'd soon know if there was anything blocking it, because all of a sudden your signals wouldn't work. So yeah, it's obviously a bit fiddly to work underneath a working layout. You just have to clear a space underneath, so anything that's under there has to come out. You need some light under there. You need good knees, which fortunately they're not creaking today. There's Delft Junction Pete. Hello there. I want your lovely back scene, Alan. Well, Pete, I suppose you can sneak up to North Wales. Go on bended knee to Lord Al, cross his palm with silver, and he'll give you his back scene. That's business. So yeah, it's difficult. It's a lot of moving and shoving and pushing, and you obviously need some light under there. What I was using is one of these, which is, I think I got it from Maplin's. 4 AA batteries in there, and that gives you a fair amount of lux under there. So that's got a hook on the back, so you can hook it up. You can pop it on the track. Let's have a look. Andy Bisman does that for European semaphore signals, but they will hurt your bank account. It's an expensive hobby, I wrote. Whichever way you cut it. Was it Sam's Trains that did a thing? His latest video was, is it too expensive? It always was. Let's just cut this right out now. It's always been an expensive hobby. And the example I gave him was, have I got it here? Have I got it here? Might have. I don't know. Can't see it. It might be here somewhere. Right. Do you remember when Hornby came out with the Silver Seal and the copy of the Fleischmann motor in the tender of the Britannia and the Evening Star? Well, they also bought out what we then called the Brush Type 4, which is now Class 47, and it was 10 quid brand new. Now, 10 quid in those days was a third of the average wage. I don't even know if my dad was getting the average wage. So the average wage was about 32 pounds, something like that, a week. And that's a third of his wages to get me a locomotive. He was a bit disappointed, actually. He was hoping I was going to get the Evening Star, I think, or the Black 5. But I wanted something contemporary. I wanted to have something on the layout which I saw every day, and you saw class 47s, or as it was, brush type 4s, on King's Cross Station. So I wanted one of those. Got one of those, and I've still got it. So that was a third of his wages. Now, a weekly wage now, we don't have weekly wage. Most are paid by monthly now. But a weekly wage now is something like, what was it, 600 quid, according to the Office of National Statistics. 600 quid a week. So a third of that would be 200 odd quid. And what are we paying now for a locomotive? 200 odd quid. So it's always been expensive. That's that. News to me. What's news to you, trains and kits, etc.? Yeah. Sam's Trade's had a few European guys saying that UK prices are still way too low. Yeah, but we haven't quite got to the quality of marketing. So things even out. Anthony Dodge, the model train insider. Did I say insider? I meant outsider. Nice to see you, Anthony. As you can see, I made it. Yeah, that's insomnia for you. So I wish I had £600 a week job. According to the Office of National Statistics, it's £600 a week. And looking back on what my dad earned, he probably earned 20 quid a week or 25 quid a week in 1973. But he still spent half his wages to buy me an engine. I've still got it, so it must have been fairly good. But of course, the standard of that model, with its Springfield motor and its all but non-existent detail, good paint job, but they were still using coloured plastic then, and then adding some paint over the top. But there's nothing like these. Take a look at this. That's a Bachmann AL5. That's got detail on it we could have only ever dreamed of. It's got lights in the front. It's got lights at the back. It's got cab lights. It's got a fairly working pantograph. And it's got lights in the engine bay. And it runs almost silently. All of the brush type 4 could do in those days was it had lights on the front, and then when you change direction, lights on the back. That was it. So all of this Dr. Doom wringing of hands bullshit. No, sorry, don't buy it. I'm afraid Sam's Trains has overplayed his hand there a bit. It wasn't certainly worthy of a whole video. However, he tried to slice it up. Yes, trains are expensive. They've always been expensive. They always will be expensive. That's the nature of the beast. And like Simon Kohler always said, detail, detail, detail. Yeah, we want more detail. We want it to look more like the real thing. And you have to pay for that. And I got no qualms saving up the money and paying for it. If you haven't got the wherewithal to sit there and say, all right, I've got 150 quid, I only need X amount more, and then I can go and buy it. If you haven't got that type of patience, that's just tough. You'll either go into debt or don't get it. It's as simple as that. So it's no good wringing your hands over it. You either have it or you don't. And if you don't, shrug your shoulders and move on. There's always second hand. And there's tons of second hand out there. And depending on what you want, depending on how much you're willing to pay, Clive will give you some points there. Clive's got a great eye for bargains, what's good, what's not so good. It's all out there. So I tend not to moan too much because I saved the money and I bought it. It might, some of my purchases might hurt. And I thought, well, what am I going to have to go without? But all right, I won't get a pack of cigars this week. Next, there's more cheap second-hand stuff out there than expensive brand new. Yeah, there's been a lot of expensive second-hand as well, Tim, just recently. Fill your boots if you're on a model railway budget, yeah. It's still out there. If you go to some of the smaller exhibitions and events, there's guys there that have got tables full of everything from Triang and Double O through to Mainline, through to Airfix, and all of those iterations. Yeah, all hobbies are expensive. If you want to go fly model aeroplanes, that's expensive. And now you've got the Civil Aviation Authority to deal with as well because of all of the drones and things of that nature. And of course, we're all lumped into flying machines. So it's just killing it. A lot of folk want Maseratis but won't pay full price. That's another analogy. Yeah, a warranted analogy. Limited warranty. Yeah. That was the thing about Curacau's announcement that they're going to have a warranty, a lifetime warranty. It's a limited lifetime warranty. That's all it is. So if your motor decides to go open circuit when you haven't been beating it on a desk, they will probably replace the motor for you. Simple as that. It's hidden. There's not much you can do to a motor. It either works or it doesn't, or it's intermittent. Yeah, that's a good move on their part. The whole train show thing is that you need to know what to buy and especially when. Yes, yeah, you're right, Ivo. Did I see Monsville was in there? Oh, I didn't realise that. Oh, Graham Fulston. Hello, Graham. Nice to see you. What's occurring? Right. Well, we've got I've got an AL5 and an AL6 running 50s, 60s, 70s stock. So let's see what you'll see first. This one. This is the Bachmann AL5, class 85, with an observation on the back. It's not the Caroline, but... And going the other way round is the Heljan class 86, AL6. And yeah, but I've been doing quite a bit of wiring underneath the layout, Graham. I've been wiring up these things, which is the Urdask 4 for detecting the train, and you connect a signal in there, which looks very much like this. These little Chinese ones have got bullet ends on the end of the wires, which is great for screwing into screw terminals. And nice simple wiring diagrams. You don't have to be an electronic genius to figure it out. Clive Heathcote's a great guy, and I'm happy to endorse his products. Obviously, this works. I've got it working autonomous from the layout, so irrespective of whether I run DC, which I can do, or DCC, it will work alongside it, and there is no connection between the two or three of them. I got a good analogy from Heath. I thought I'd just mention this, in that I know Heath's a bit of a technophobe, and he obviously enjoys DCC, but the way he brought it across was this. With DC, you drive the track. With DCC, you drive the locomotive. That's a very weighty point. So I thought that was a great analogy. With DC, you drive the track. With DCC, you drive the locomotives. Yeah. Obviously, I'm running DC today. So do I have an axe to grind? No. I enjoy running DC. I can run DC. I've got little switches all over here so I can isolate sections, and I can leave it all open when I run DCC. So Yeah, rods ain't cheap. When I got back, shocked at the price of the poles. Same with shooting air rifles. Cost more than some shotguns. Wow. Always keep an eye out for people who sell Lima Nova stuff for Lima prices without having looked in the box. Yeah, you've got to be fairly scrupulous, Ivo. Make the effort to open up the box and look as hard as you can. And if they've got a test track there, test it. Trains kits. I build guitars. I pay sometimes upwards of £400 just for a piece of wood. Hobbies cost money. Yes, if it's quarter sawn and it's a particular wood like Vengay or something like that, or dare I say Brazilian rosewood. But even then, a good piece of flamed maple will cost you a lot of money. And I know a little of luthiery, so it's expensive. Some of the pickups for an electric guitar are absolutely outrageous. You know, £200, £300, £400. I mean, Gibson are doing a sort of PAF. What would you call it? It's made by us, and this was the original PAF design, which went into all the Gibson Les Pauls of the 50s. And they want something like $1,500 for a pair. Come off it. But you're paying for the name. The Lehman Nova thing was the era just before the Hornby takeover, when Lehman decided to finally move on to cast chassis and worm drive. Very underrated models. I didn't know that, Ivo. I didn't know that. Probably Brian may have come across some Lehman Nova. Did it actually say Nova on the box? Or did you have to just look carefully at the dates? I'll be interested to know that. Hey Andy, I'm the #1 technophobe. Well, I'm not a technophobe, but I tend to be more of a Luddite, in that when I get something that works, if there's nothing out there better, I will stick with it and defend it. Yeah, Gibson is, well, let's just say, people think Hornby are a greedy company. They need to meet Gibson. Now, Gibson bought out, what's the amplifier company they bought out? Mesa Boogie. And they just put the Marshall name on it. But when somebody actually took the thing apart, they'd done a few things in there which they shouldn't have. All right, it did have valves for the preamp and power valves, but it wasn't very good. I'll probably get sued by Gibson now, but it's all out there anyway. Somebody actually took the back off, looked at the chassis and thought, oh no. There was nothing on the box. You had to look at the spare parts and the drivetrain. Oh, so if it didn't have the part sheet with it, so you'd have to be pretty savvy about Lima stuff. It should be obvious looking at the parts list if there's a big chunky chassis in there. Call it Lee's spamming the chat. Plus 33. 333. Is that how many drinks that Mick's having today? Drinks getting an expensive hobby now. I have a set of Lima Nova Silberling coaches here, the same ones as sold by River Rossi now. Well, River Rossi's Hornby, and Hornby owns both Lima and the River Rossi name. So, trains and kits, E3. Sorry, my keypad locked. That's a funny one. Keypad locked. Was that something sticky like coffee on it? Cheers, everybody. Have a tap in the new layout room. That's a great idea. Have the brewery next door. Have a tap going out there. What a brilliant idea. I'm glad I thought of that, Clive. Anyway, right, I'm going to point you down at the trains so you can have a jolly good look. Oh, yeah. As you may have noticed, I've got the pantographs up today. Let's just get a little more high aspect on there. Move you around. Look at those lights in the engine compartment. That's amazing. Right, let's whiz up the... here comes the Helgian Class 86. Those are Mach 1 Hornby coaches in the maroon with the restaurant car, which is a 12-wheeler on the back. Oh, Graham, that was a great job you did with that turntable. Absolutely fabulous. I mean, considering there was nothing written down, to figure that out was a little short of miraculous. I'd like to say I never doubted you in a million years, but I did. Because I know things like that can be very difficult because they don't want it to work with anything else, blah, 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 blah. Oh, running with the panties up, yes. Hope you haven't got any low bridges for that pantograph. No, no bridges, Roy. No bridges, no tunnels, no overpasses, no inclines. Flat as a billiard table, matey. So if we put a model on this layout and for any reason it doesn't run, you are going to know it's the model. It's not the layout because everything else runs fine. Newly Railway, the 2005 Marketing Christmas train with glass booze bottle. Whoa, that's nice. I'm lucky, unlucky in a way, as most of the rolling stock on my layout was left to my brother and myself. And my dad sadly passed away. Otherwise, I wouldn't have hardly anything to run on it. Yeah, well, I was thinking about that today, Mark, and I actually found this. This is one of my dad's locos, and that's a Hornby Black 5. I think it's with the later Ringfield motor in the tender, and they upgraded the running gear a bit. But would anybody like to see that run? When you win the lottery, you're going to fit catenary around the layout. Yes, you're right, Ivo. But if it's well maintained, which I hope it is, it should be fairly good. Oh, you want to see it? Okay, Dina. Right, I will stop our friendly neighbourhood Hilljan on the way round. Righty ho. Okey-dokey. The trusty triangle. Right, I'll pop that over yonder. Put that back on the track. Okay. Right then. Let's have a butcher's hook. Look. Now, as it's got the readout in here, it says, from what I'm reading of that, That is 1996. R292, 28th of the 3rd, 96. Right then, let's pull her out. Yeah, good traction tyres. Now, let's put this to the test, shall we? Da, 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 da. Oh, I just let that one go past. Nice shiny wheels. Obviously plated. There we go. Right, pop that on there. Connect on the train. Right, let's see what happens, shall we? Nothing. Right, let's give it a little. Right, more power. Here we go. Forgive me, it's probably been sitting in a box for a good long time. But it will be with you presently. And we'll see what it sounds like after a half a dozen times around the layout. No close couplers yet, no. To tell you the truth, everybody, I had to say this, but I didn't even clean the track this week. What a sin. Well, there's no screeching, so that obviously means that the pinion bearing is nicely lubed up. Right, I'll just adjust the speed a bit because now it's starting to warm up. Here we go. Now, what I'm hearing mostly there is the actual driving wheels rotating. I'm not hearing much of the ring field at all. So it looks like it's got a good one. Oh, thanks, Anthony. That's just over 40%. Yeah, that's just over 40%, Pete. Oh, Jerry's heading off. Thanks for coming, Jerry. And have a great Sunday, mate. Yeah, I believe so, Dan. I tell you, that tooling must have taken a beating over the years. I'll just adjust the speed a little more. Right, that's a bit more of a sedate pace. Let's see what happens now. That doesn't sound too bad, does it? Yeah, the one you're looking at there, Tim, is the one with the mass sequencer on it, which has a little timer on it with a little potential divider. So as it goes through, it slowly, well, quite quickly clears. And I can turn up the speed of the signals changing. Black 5 is one you've driven. If I win the Euro Millions, I'm buying all I can. There, Timber Surf. Hi, Timber. Right, I'll just give that a little more juice. Yeah, Pete, I'm working on it. I hope to have the other set of signals in by next week. But as you can see, with the Chinese signals, I've got to paint them grey, put on a telephone point on there, and put a little board on there with its identification, paint them all grey, etc., 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 to tart them up a bit. Yeah, Tim, I didn't really like the fact that the infrared unit was looking up or sideways at the track. From my point of view, it was better to have it underneath. Obviously, if you can't get yours underneath the layout, you could use these in exactly the same way, looking that way, but then it would detect everything that comes within its path. And if you've got two tracks, then you'll get erroneous signals. So that's a situation where the train tech ones might come in useful. If you've got a lot of tracks and you can't get underneath. But I suppose you'd have to be careful how they're pointed upwards. It would be better if they were pointed slightly up rather than horizontal. We'll see you next. Hello, Paul. Yeah, that's right, Tim. There was an option on there to cut the board off or modify the board to however you wanted to squeeze it on there. So if you didn't have to plug it into the track if you didn't want to, you could wire it straight in and cut off the part that goes into the track. When they appeared on the market, I'd already decided to go down the Heathcote route, and as it was in those days, CR signal. So my hand was already prodded. Well, as you could see, it came straight out of the box, went straight on and ran. Not the greatest detail in the world, but that speaks volumes for the longevity of these models. Yeah. Nice logo, but a bit boring if everybody has one. Ivo, your wisdom knows no bounds. Okie dokie, all right. Let's point you back at me. There we are. Oh. Right. It just leaves me to say thanks everybody for coming in. If everybody has hit the like button, I'm looking at 25 there, which is very good. Thank you all very much. Um, yeah, Dave Swindon Junction is going to be coming on in a few minutes, so I'll make way for him. It's nice if we don't tread on each other's toes. There's plenty of time and room out there for everybody, but I know Dave goes on at 2 o'clock. So thank you very much, Mark. As I say, if you can get a video out with all of your diesels on there that you want to sell, by all means do so. Even if you just have a video and just go along all of the models, as long as you can see the number of what they are and the price on it, that may well do you okay. Thanks everybody. Anthony, say hello to Artie for me. I know he's having a bit of a tough time out there, a very tough time actually, and pat him on the back and give him a hug for me. So thanks everybody for coming. Dave's Junction has just gone live, so I will make way. It's great to see you, Clive and Colin and Brian. It was a great show, Brian. Lord Al's video was brilliant, really funny. Timber Surf, thanks for coming in. Don't forget all of your 3D needs, Timber Surf. Donegal Dad, Mark, great show you do on Thursday, and thanks for that. And it just leaves me to say, Auf Wiedersehen, tschüss, and happy trains, everybody. Take care.